The Golden Period. The Golden Period is that period when all is wonderful between us and our victims. This is the illusory mask that is donned in order to draw you in, bind you to us, embed you, and then continue to savor the positive fuel that you pump out. Of course, most people recognize that this is relevant with regards to the romantic relationship between the narcissist and the intimate partner primary source, the IPPS. Certainly, this is the most intense, most intoxicating, and most addictive of the golden periods. But the golden period applies to all appliances that we interact with. How does that manifest, and how long are these golden periods? Let us commence with the tertiary source. There are essentially two sources of tertiary source. There is the sporadic tertiary source, the STS, and the frequent tertiary source, the FTS. The STS is somebody that we interact with just the once, or perhaps more than once, but not very often at all. So, that could be somebody who we get in a lift with, or who occasionally serves us when we go to a particular restaurant every 3 months. We do not know one another, and therefore this person is a tertiary source. However, our engagement with them is always benign. They smile at us, do something helpful for us, compliment us, speak to us in an interested way, and so forth. In that instant, the interaction may only be for 30 seconds or so, but that is a golden period. It is brief, very brief, but nevertheless, because we have engaged with that person in a benign way and drawn positive fuel from them, they have had a golden period. We may not have charmed them, but we have certainly been pleasant to them. We have impressed them, engaged with them in a way which has caused them to provide us with positive fuel. This means that they have not suffered in any way, and we have drawn positive fuel. The FTS, the frequent tertiary source, is someone who we may see several times a week, but they effectively remain a stranger to us. This might be somebody who we buy a daily newspaper from, or a ticket inspector on the train. We engage with this individual repeatedly, and always do so in pleasant terms, and thus we gain positive fuel from this person, who greets us with a smile and compliments our choice of tie or fragrance. But there is no more to the relationship. We see them repeatedly. And this positive engagement means that there is a protracted golden period, but the manner of the engagement remains brief. It is seconds or minutes at most. A golden period for the STS or FTS will be brought to an abrupt end if they criticize us in some way and wound us, or we see that drawing a reaction from them by way of provocation and the provision of negative fuel would serve our purposes in another way. For instance, in terms of triangulating them with someone who is a higher rank source, who we wish to impress or appear authoritative in front of. With regard to the secondary sources, there are those who are non-intimate secondary sources, friends, family, and colleagues. And then intimate partner secondary sources, someone we are seducing who is likely to become the IPPS, and this person is perhaps a booty call, or alternatively a friend with benefits. Those who are non-intimate secondary sources nearly always have golden periods, and those golden periods last for a long time. This is because we exhibit our attractive qualities. We charm, we are polite, we are good-natured, interesting, and so on, in order to attract this person to us. And once designated as a non-intimate secondary source, we keep them in place for a considerable period of time. The golden period for a NISS can last a long time because we only draw on their positive fuel now and again. Thus, We may see a friend once a week or once a month, and therefore there is no extensive reliance in terms of frequency and quantity from this person, which threatens the potency. We may meet for an hour for a coffee or an evening out together, and we draw positive fuel plus other benefits from them, unless they challenge us, criticize us, stop fuel provision, and such like. This golden period will continue unabated. We will not suddenly find their fuel stale, as happens with the IPPS, and therefore the golden period lasts. With the IPSS, the golden period is similarly extensive. There are three types of intimate partner secondary sources. Number 1, the candidate IPSS. This is someone who is likely to become the IPPS and is on that trajectory towards being crowned. Number 2, the shelf intimate partner secondary source. This person is not an immediate candidate for becoming the intimate partner primary source, but that might change in the future. Instead, they are used for fuel on an intermittent basis. Whilst the intimate partner primary source is devalued, we will spend time with the shelf IPSS, even though we know they are not going to be the new IPPS. But their fuel, and so on, remains of considerable use and interest to us. We may also use the IPSS to triangulate with the primary source or with other intimate partner secondary sources. The third intimate partner secondary source is the dirty little secret intimate partner secondary source, and you can learn more about that in the video Dirty Little Secret. If the person is a clear prospect for becoming the intimate partner primary source, then this candidate will experience the full effect of the illusory seduction as they are drawn into our world and treated like a king or queen. The various seductive manipulations will be deployed to create this magical wonderland where the most perfect love resides. This is the intoxicating whirlwind seduction where the love bombing abounds. Once this candidate intimate partner secondary source is embedded as the primary source, the golden period continues. Sometimes the intimate partner secondary source does not secure the promotion, but, as I have written and discussed elsewhere, there is no need to devalue this person. In these circumstances, this person is a shelf intimate partner secondary source. Their fuel remains excellent, but they are not quite right to be the primary source. This, of course, may change, and they may be promoted in the future, or it may not alter, and thus they remain an IPSS for a long time. They are picked up and put down when we decide. Thus, if an intimate partner secondary source accepts this role, they will experience a long golden period. Yes, there will be periods when they will not hear from us, and they have been placed on the shelf, but this is not devaluation. The fuel from an IPSS, similarly, does not become stale because they are engaged with intermittently by us. The pattern of engagement may be a weekend together, and then nothing for a fortnight. It might be a week away together, and then nothing for a month. With the dirty little secret intimate partner secondary source, the engagement is likely to be an hour in the evening or the occasional afternoon, but usually takes place once a week and sometimes more. The time together with the dirty little secret is not long, but there is a greater frequency than that of the shelf IPSS. With all of these intimate partner secondary sources, they experience significant golden periods. 1. The candidate intimate partner secondary source has an intense golden period, which may be a number of weeks, before they then become an intimate partner primary source, and then the golden period for that appliance becomes applicable. 2. The shelf intimate partner secondary source can have a golden period for years and years. 3. The dirty little secret intimate partner secondary source can have a golden period for years and years. The golden period for the shelf and dirty little secret intimate partner secondary sources are not as tense as that for the candidate nor the intimate partner primary source, which I describe shortly, but it nevertheless remains addictive. The victim is treated well, future faked a lot, given comfort crumbs, taken places, confided in, bought gifts, and so forth. The narcissist recognizes the value of these types of intimate partner secondary sources and wishes to maintain them. If the intimate partner secondary source challenges the narcissist, for instance, wants the narcissist to spend more time with them, or threatens to expose their affair to the intimate partner primary source, the narcissist will devalue the secondary source, but only does so in order to bring that person back into line. If the secondary source responds to that devaluation, then the golden period is restored immediately. If not, the malfunctioning intimate partner secondary source will be disengaged with, and somebody else sought for that role instead. The golden period for the intimate partner primary source is that which most people are familiar with. The golden period for the intimate partner primary source commences when they are a candidate IPSS, and once they have been embedded, they continue to enjoy the fruits of the narcissist's largesse. The golden period for the IPPS is the one which creates the truly magical connections, the dizzying delight and wondrous magnificence which becomes addictive. The golden period for the IPPS will last from months to years, dependent on how long their positive fuel is potent enough for, frequent enough for, and supplied in the desired quantities. A typical golden period for the intimate partner primary source will be between 6 and 24 months. The golden period for an intimate partner primary source ends because the appliance fails us. This is because the appliance has reduced the potency, frequency, and/or quantity of the fuel of a positive nature so that it is no longer sufficient for us, and thus devaluation must commence by way of altering the fuel provided and punishing the malfunctioning primary source. Alternatively, the positive fuel is no longer regarded as potent by us because it feels stale. Again, devaluation follows for the reasons I have just explained. This determination is entirely down to us, and there is nothing you can do about it. Devaluation always occurs with the primary source because this person is the person we rely on the most for our fuel provision, and is the most important supplier. We thus engage with this person frequently, often live with this person, certainly see them almost every day, talk every day, much together, so that we can draw on the positive fuel. Fuel is extremely potent to us, and of critical consequence. However, this frequent reliance means that the risk of it becoming stale is very high, and therefore devaluation follows. Unlike a non-intimate secondary source or intimate partner secondary source, devaluation is not a foregone conclusion for them because of the lower demand placed on these secondary sources for their fuel provision. Some people who are the intimate partner primary source do not experience the fireworks and magic of the golden period. Instead, they experience what is known as the bronze period. This is when the narcissist, who is usually a lower or middle lesser, or a lower mid-ranger, does not treat them especially magnificently, but what they do is keep the beast in check, so that what is seen is not going to cause the newly targeted victim to retreat. The golden period and the bronze period both serve the function of hiding the true nature of the narcissist from the victim. The full horror is kept from them. The golden period goes further and binds the victim, especially to the narcissist. It heightens the addiction of the victim. It creates a place which the victim strives to return to and which the narcissist will reinstate if he or she sees fit. During devaluation, the bronze period merely keeps the horror under wraps, and there will be some favourable treatment, but nothing amazing. The golden period for all appliances is an artifice, which is designed to enable us to secure our prime aims, chief of which is the provision of fuel. Whether this illusion is used for 30 seconds or for years, it is still that, an illusion.